I wonder what justice looks like and what happens if it doesn't come.
This is a question Lauren would ask Mickey a lot.
I want to see somebody held accountable for my daughter's death.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to see a lot of people held accountable for my daughter's death and the way she's been treated since then.
By whom?
By people that consider her disposable.
What happens if no one is held accountable in a way that feels correct for you?
Well, that's a good question, Lauren. But I guess then I will just have to take my dying breath trying to bring that about.
Mickey has been in D.C., far from home, for a long time. She has 4 sons and 2 grandsons, one she barely knows, because most of his life she's been 3,000 miles away on Freedom Corner, chasing this slippery justice, these somebodies to hold accountable, whatever accountable means. And then there's Nicole.
Yeah, it looks like a very long road. My family's never going to be the same as they were prior to January 6th, ever again. Mickey's family's never going to be the same. Ashley's never coming back. But being here in D.C. and seeing what that looks like, we ask ourselves that all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, like, what are we doing? We say that a lot to each other.
Lauren and I have that same question. What did they get done here? Seen one way, Mickey Withoff and Nicole Reffitt have spent 700-plus evenings far away from their families to organize a small, fringy protest at the back of the D.C. jail. But seen another way, these 2 women diverted the course of history. Or maybe both are true, because this is a very weird political era where fringe can merge with power, and suddenly the world is upside down. I'm Hannah Rosen.
And I'm Lauren Ober. And from The Atlantic, this is We Live Here Now. In this episode, we try and tease out how Mickey's personal mission and Donald Trump's political mission collided with each other. Warning, Hannah and I do not land in the same place on this one, and we have our very own hot mic moment debating things. So lucky for you. In her previous life, Mickey wasn't all that political. But almost as soon as she learned her daughter died, politics came up. On January 7th, she gave an interview to Fox 5 in San Diego.
I would like to invite Donald J. Trump to say her name out loud, to acknowledge the passing of his loudest and proudest supporter, Ashley Elizabeth Babbitt.
It's revealing that at her saddest, Mickey thought to call on Trump. You can hear that and think maybe there's a hint of a possibility here that she thinks he should take some responsibility for Ashley's death. There was another woman who died on January 6th at the Capitol, Roseanne Boyland, a Trump supporter who was around Ashley's age. She was crushed by the mob just outside the Capitol. The day after her death, her brother-in-law squarely and publicly blamed her death on Trump and QAnon for leading her astray. Mickey, too, could have decided that Trump spread the lie that the election was stolen to soothe his wounded ego, which lured her daughter to D.C. and got her killed. But she didn't. Something moved her in the opposite direction. And for thousands, who knows, millions of people, the meaning of January 6th started to shift along with her. Trump did not know Mickey's name on January 7th, because back then, he was on the defensive. There were reports that some Republican leaders were going to ask him to resign. That never happened. Instead, they settled it, how about we just forget this whole January 6th thing? Just don't mention it. And then, around July 4th, 2021, in a series of speeches, candidate Trump took a bold left turn. Actually, a right turn.
Wow, that's a lot of people. Thank you.
It started, as best as I can tell, at a rally. It was July 3rd, nearly 7 months after the Capitol riots. It was a Saturday in Sarasota, Florida. Trump is hitting all his usual rally points, and then you can hear him reach for something new.
The Republicans have to get themselves a real leader. You got some great senators, but they have to get themselves a real leader. And by the way, who shot Ashley Babbitt? Who shot Ashley Babbitt?
With an investigation into January 6th just getting underway, Trump tried a new tack.
Who? Who shot Ashley Babbitt? I spoke to her mother the other day, an incredible woman. She's just devastated, like it happened yesterday. Devastated. And it's a terrible thing. Right shot, boom. There was no reason for it. Who shot Ashley Babbitt? It's got to be released.
4 days later, he was talking about it again, this time at a press conference in New Jersey. At this point, the investigation was still not releasing the name of Michael Byrd, the Capitol police officer who shot Ashley.
But the person that shot Ashley Babbitt, boom, right through the head, just boom. There was no reason for that. They've already written it off. They said that case is closed.
She was shot in the shoulder, not the head. But Trump wasn't interested in details here. They've already written off Ashley's murder. They said the case is closed. Who was they? Of course, the same people who stole the election. 5 days after that, Trump is on Fox News.
Who shot Ashley Babbitt? People want to know, and why.
Now, the big lie could easily have faded away. Just been recorded in history books as that moment when a man named Donald Trump tried to subvert the peaceful transfer of power. But, whew, democracy is resilient. The Department of Justice closed its investigation into Michael Byrd and said there was no reason to press charges. Problem solved. But that's not what happened. Ashley's death became the most direct and vivid way to give the big lie a new life. Trump invoked Ashley at rallies and on TV and in press conferences. He had landed on a powerful new strategy, and he worked it for the better part of a year.
Eventually, Mickey landed in D.C., and within a month, she and Trump, who had both been talking about Ashley separately, were now talking about Ashley together. It happened in September 2022, when Trump called into the vigil Mickey was hosting that night.
You are on live stream with different countries, and our crowd outside, thank you for calling, and you're on. Go.
Okay. Well, Mickey, it's an honor to be with you and to everybody listening. It's a terrible thing that has happened to a lot of people that are being treated very, very unfairly. We love Ashley, and it was just so horrible what happened to her. Mickey, you're asking me to just speak to everybody, but we cannot allow this to happen to our country. So God bless everybody. We are working very hard.
Thank you, President Trump.
Thank you for calling, President Trump. I know the men inside appreciate you, as I do as well. And you did draw us some attention, President Trump. Thank you so much. And we look forward to working with you in the future. God bless you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
This is the moment their missions collided. Mickey had asked for Trump to say her daughter's name out loud, and he did. He said, "We love Ashley." So when Mickey and Nicole say to themselves, "What did we get done on Freedom Corner?" this is a moment they can point to. But many a grieving American mother has received a call from a powerful politician. It can be just a fleeting moment of political theater, or it can lead to something much bigger. In this case, I would argue that it's the latter. And I can back that up based on what Lauren saw when she followed Mickey to the biggest event on the conservative political calendar.
In February of this year, I tagged along with Mickey and the Eagle's Nest crew to CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference. If Washington is Hollywood for ugly people, then CPAC is its Sundance. It's been the premier Republican convention for the past 50 years. It usually happens just outside D.C. in suburban Maryland, and it's become a place for conservative candidates to dry run new messaging.
I think the check-in line's going to be a freaking zoo because we don't yet have our badges.
Yeah, but everything's like electronic, so it seemed like they have enough spots.
Yeah, but there's a lot of old people like me that can't work our shit.
Of course, the first thing I wanted to do when we got to CPAC was visit the vendor hall.
All right, so now I'm in like vendor village area.
And I was not disappointed. There were folks hawking MAGA hammocks and vibration plates that shake your cellulite away and candles that smelled like freedom. allegedly. The drag queen, Lady MAGA, was there, waving adoringly to her fan. And did I catch a glimpse of Mr. My Pillow himself, Mike Lindell? Yes, I did. Also on offer.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Want to play some pinball?
I'm terrible at it.
That's okay.
But sure, why not? A January 6th pinball game.
What do I get if I win?
Get a high score.
Oh, where I could get points for storming the Capitol.
Save America. Hey, you made it to the Capitol.
Like January 6th.
In the snow.
Okay, I wasn't there to play insurrection pinball. I was there to observe. As I followed Mickey around the convention hall, it was clear to me that she was here to play a role. She was the living, breathing mother of the J6 martyr, complete with a costume, a t-shirt that read, Ashley Babbitt, murdered by Capitol Police, January 6, 2021. Plenty of people recognized her. They did those sad little pity smiles and asked for a handshake or a hug or a photo. More than a few people approached Mickey and asked if they could pray for her.
Dear Lord, thank you for this woman that's here, and thank you for her bravery and for her taking this season of pain and turning it into something that's for your glory, Lord. And we know that you are victorious, and you will surround her with your comfort and your peace, and you will infuse her with strength, and just bless this whole weekend and every interaction she has. And we know that all is done for the glory of you in Jesus' name.
All right. Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
Good work. Good work.
Thank y'all.
3+ years into playing this role, I could see it was wearing on Mickey. She looked exhausted. Throughout the conference, stranger after stranger approached her.
Well, I'm so sorry for your loss. These people will be held accountable. Justice will be served.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I hope so.
Mickey is gracious about it, but I've been around her long enough by now to know that there are other things bubbling under the surface.
Is it tiring when people come up to you and they say, oh, I'm so sorry?
That's not tiring. There are certain phrases that I find offensive, and people don't mean them offensively, but sometimes they...
Like what?
Like, the one that always gets me is, it could have been me. I don't like that when people say that to me. My response is, okay, thanks, nice to meet you, bye.
Right.
I mean, I try not to be rude because I know people don't mean it in a way to be offensive. It's recognition of Ashley's sacrifice on a certain level. So I don't want to be offensive back at them because I don't feel like they mean to be offensive to me. So I just, try to be as polite as possible and move on.
Right.
Try not to say, yeah, well, I wish it was, and it wasn't my daughter, because that's not appropriate either. But the truth is, I wish it was anybody else. So, I don't know how you respond to that. As coffee, big ass sign right there.
Okay, that conversation ended a bit abruptly. Anyway, on the last day of CPAC, Hannah came and we met up in the press section, which looked like it was more filled with right-wing TikTokers than actual traditional journalists. Hannah and I were eating snacks and waiting for Trump's speech to start when something familiar came over the loudspeaker. My first thought was, what is this garbage recording? Surely the Trump campaign could have found a higher quality rendition of our national anthem. But then we realized why the song sounded like that. This was sung at the D.C. jail, the J6 prison choir, which Mickey played every night at the vigil over the loudspeakers.
I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Mixed with Donald Trump reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
This was the fight song for the Patriot Pod prisoners. And now, the possible next future president was taking it up as his own.
I stand before you today not only as your past and hopefully future president, but as a proud political dissident. I am a dissident.
And in this speech, the darkest one of his campaign so far, he vowed to get revenge.
For hardworking Americans, November 5th will be our new Liberation Day, but for the liars and cheaters and fraudsters and censors and imposters who have commandeered our government, it will be their Judgment Day. Their Judgment Day.
It would be an exaggeration to say Mickey orchestrated this political moment. After all, she'd never really been into politics. Her San Diego life was just fine without mainlining Fox News. Maybe the more accurate way to say it is that between her dream and her enduring grief, she manifested this moment where Trump and the J6ers became one, where Trump said over and over that if he became president, he would pardon the J6ers, basically magically fulfilling Ashley's vision in Mickey's dream.
The day after CPAC, we ran into Mickey while walking the dogs and asked her what she thought of Trump's speech. Apparently, she hadn't seen it. The Eagle's Nest crew left and went home before Trump even took the stage. When the politicians come in the room, she said, that's when the bullshit starts.
So the Mickey-MAGA relationship, it's pretty complicated. That's after the break.
I'm Josh Levine. In this season of Slow Burn, we'll dive into the moment in the early 2000s when Fox News became a political and cultural force.
I'm killing CNN. Killing them. Murdering them.
You'll hear from Fox insiders, many who've never spoken out before, and from people outside Fox who tried to stop it.
You're being sued by Fox. And I went, really? That's fabulous.
Slow Burn Season 10, The Rise of Fox News. Out now, wherever you listen.
If you ask Mickey if she thinks all the jailed J6ers should be pardoned for their actions at the Capitol, her answer is probably not going to be the one you expect. More than once, Mickey's told me that not everyone acted like a Boy Scout that day. So the more violent ones, or the folks who brought implements, like pitchforks, say, deserve to be punished. So Trump saying he's going to pardon all J6ers doesn't really move her much. But she sees the utility of Trump talking about January 6th. She can use him to bring attention to her cause, just like he has used her daughter as a campaign prop. There are other things about Mickey that don't necessarily track with MAGA lunacy. She thinks that healthcare shouldn't be tied to employment and that there should be term limits for judges and lawmakers. She's pretty pro-LGBTQ since Ashley was bisexual, and once we had a 5-minute conversation about gun control where we almost came to a shared conclusion. Now, that doesn't mean that Mickey is turning blue anytime soon. She's more like a populist libertarian who often says impolitic things, even harmful things. Like the time right before I met her when she said this about Lieutenant Michael Byrd.
Michael Byrd needs to swing from the end of a rope, along with Nancy Pelosi.
Byrd is black, Mickey is white, which she discussed when she brought up the comment to me.
You know, I mean, there's much talk about me saying Michael Byrd should be swinging from the end of a rope. It's saying, oh, look at her, she's calling for a lynching. I am not calling for a lynching.
Her explanation wasn't exculpatory by any means, and no one should be calling for anyone's execution. But I wanted to hear Mickey out, so we're going to let this run because she landed in a place I didn't see coming.
A hanging and a lynching are two different things. A hanging occurs after a trial and you're pronounced guilty and your ass gets hung. That's how it happens. It's happened. And it's happened not just to black people specifically. Lynchings, most of them are black people. But hangings are retribution for something that you got coming to you. And they used to do it right on the battlefield. If you got convicted of treason, they would either shoot you or hang you. And that's the way I meant that. And I said it about Nancy Pelosi too, and she's about as white bread as you come, which is another thing when people start talking about white privilege. I am not that white privilege person. I have never had money. Ashley doesn't come from white privilege. She worked hard for anything she ever had. And so has my family.
Sure. I have worked hard for everything I have, and I also have an enormous amount of privilege, largely due to my race and economic status.
I understand that black people have been treated in a different way than white people have in this country for a long time, and forever. But I thought that we were making huge strides in that until I came to this city, actually. But what I will say is being the parent of a child that was murdered under color of authority.
Yeah.
It does make me, because you don't know until you know. I mean, it does make me identify somewhat with Black and brown mothers who have been going through this for decades because their children have been murdered under color of authority without any avenue for retribution for years.
You can see how a Black mother whose child was killed by police would forever mistrust authority. Mickey landed in the same place. Only for her, the mistrust was supercharged.
When they killed Ashley, they took a lot more from me than my daughter. They took my whole belief in the system that runs America from me. Even though it's a little bad, it's mostly good, I don't believe that anymore. And so in that process, I don't know what I believe them capable of.
Mm-hmm.
Is it eating babies and drinking their blood? I don't think so. But I'll know. I mean, I'll know what they're up to. I really don't know what they're up to.
Years from now, when Mickey and Nicole ask themselves the question, what did we actually accomplish in D.C., they might come up with an answer that has nothing to do with Trump or justice for January 6th. These two women, who had only ever known themselves as wives and mothers, learned they could whisper in a president's ear and whip up the media and become impossible to ignore. And they could have only done it because they walked out of that courtroom together, hand in hand. One of the things I've been most surprised about is the depth of their friendship, which is only a couple of years old. Since Ashley died, Mickey can barely sleep. She's had panic that takes her breath away and nightmares that make her weep. She can't bear to sleep in a room by herself. So she and Nicole share the basement of the Eagle's Nest, their mattresses pushed head to head. Oliver the dog plops himself in between the two of them like a canine headboard. Just hearing Nicole and her dog softly breathe is a comfort to Mickey.
I've bonded with Nicole in ways that I've bonded with very few people. There's really nothing about me that Nicole doesn't. I mean, I'm sure there's things, but there's nothing I wouldn't say to her. Maybe that's because we sleep head to head and we yap all night, but I don't know.
Mickey had no idea who Nicole Reffitt was when she showed up at Guy Reffitt's sentencing in August of 2022. But their connection was almost instantaneous.
If you believe in love at first sight, which I don't really do, I believe in sexual attraction at first sight, but I don't know about love at first sight. But I think if that's possible, then friendship at first sight is. And when I first saw Nicole, like I said, I had never met her, and I knew instantly who she was. And she just had this defiant, strong-ass woman look on her face. And I just knew she was somebody I could be friends with.
There was one moment early on in their living together that kind of sealed the deal for Mickey.
But when I knew that we would be friends forever, oddly enough, why you always make me cry, Lauren? Shit. Was the day my dog died. Because she, I was on the couch with Buggles, and I couldn't make it happen. I was like, I wanted to call.
But she couldn't. So Nicole called the vet and had Fuggles put down. That small kindness meant everything to Mickey.
And I just thought at that minute that I truly loved her. I do.
Now, because Nicole and Mickey are often seen together, and because of that one hand-holding scene after Guy's sentencing, the online haters have had a field day. Someone made a music video that mashed up their voices from the vigil with overtly sexual innuendo and patriotic imagery. It's too crass for me to play for you here, but I'm sure you know how to Google if you're interested. Recently, someone sent Nicole a cardboard mailing tube that said the words oversizeddildos.com plastered on the side. The tube was empty. Right after the mailer arrived, Mickey texted me a photo. "Did you prank us?" she wrote. For the record, I did not. She wrote back, "I told you I hate it when the left is funny. There wasn't anything in the canister. More empty promises." After I had a good laugh about the whole situation, I pushed Nicole to try to put a name to the love they have for each other.
there are a lot of people's intimate relationships that can't be defined. And so I could ask you, okay, is it like you feel like a sister bond? Is it like you feel like,
it's not sexual,
like an intimate
but it is
partner
more.
bond?
Oh,
Right.
yeah. It's definitely an intimate partner bond.
Right.
I don't even know what kind of love that must be, because I love Mickey more than a friendship love.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's not a lot of the sexual aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's intimacy.
Mm-hmm. What does intimacy mean?
I don't know. You can have intimate moments with someone with being fully clothed. Like you can share very close feelings without touching anyone. So those are intimate moments, I think.
Like, give me an example.
Well, I'm not going to tell you shit. I'm already telling you all this. I know, but like,
no, I'm just trying to understand.
I think this is
understand.
Well, this is a level of intimacy. It's a level that we're having.
You and me.
Yeah, we're being intimate. I mean, I'm being intimate with you.
Right. It's not an equal exchange.
Exactly. Like you're not being intimate with me, but I absolutely am being intimate with you. So I'm being very vulnerable. But Mickey is reciprocal. I mean, like we're sharing that.
Would you say that you guys were friends?
I guess it depends on what your version of friend is. No, I mean we are neighbors.
I pressed Lauren a lot about this. Obviously, she was a journalist, and it was her job to spend time with these guys. But had she become, like, friends with them? Is that a good thing? Is it dangerous? Sometimes we had fights about it. This one, for example. It's the hot mic moment we promised you.
Actually was.
I feel so differently than you do about this. I don't spend this much time with them. What I notice at the vigil is not what you notice at the vigil. I don't think it's fucking cute at all.
You think I think it's cute? No, it's fucking weird. But I also don't think that it's
no,
like
I don't
shredding.
think it's weird. I think it's absolutely destructive.
But see, I don't have any proof that it is. Like, I don't have proof that it's destructive. I don't have any notion that
How
it's
about like
anything
Trump
other.
playing that song at Waco, Texas?
Of course, but it wasn't about the J6. Whoever
Who got that song into the public consciousness?
Okay, but
Mickey.
I'm saying no, she didn't. Actually, she had nothing to do with it. Like that
Lauren, we just feel differently. Like to me, it's like I think Mickey's a lovely, interesting, complicated person, and I think this mission that she's on in D.C. is absolutely destructive and terrible.
Show me proof of destruction. That is not new. They have a platform.
Okay, Mickey didn't cause it. Mickey didn't bring it into being. Mickey created an audience for it. She brings Trump to them. She brings these politicians to them. So you have to account for the things that Mickey is supporting and laying out the red carpet for. Like, her ideology is meaningful. She's just not like a cute person who lives in her neighborhood.
But that's the thing is that, like,
I dug in. This fight went on for like an hour and a half more. And by the end of it, nothing was resolved. In our next episode, Lauren gets even closer to the action, and she asks herself whether she ruined a J6er's life.
It was really surprising that they took him into custody then. And I just remember thinking, like, he's not a danger. He's been out this whole time. Can you please just let us, we just need a little more help.
That's on the next episode of We Live Here Now. We Live Here Now is a production of The Atlantic. The show was reported, written, and executive produced by me, Lauren Ober. Hannah Rosen reported, wrote, and edited the series. Our senior producer is Ryder Alsop. Our producer is Ethan Brooks. Original scoring, sound design, and mix engineering by Brendan Baker. This series was edited by Scott Stossel and Claudine Abade. Fact-checking by Michelle Soraka. Art direction by Colin Hunter. Project management by Nancy DeVille.
Claudine Abade is the executive producer of Atlantic Audio, and Andrea Valdez is our managing editor. The Atlantic's executive editor is Adrienne LaFrance. Jeffrey Goldberg is The Atlantic's editor-in-chief.